Hi, I'm Toby Hodges and we're on board the Grand Soleil 40 Performance. And I'm having a lovely time. We have just come straight out from Barcelona, straight on board, and this is proper pleasure performance cruising. It's a really well set up boat. Some boats you just get on and you just think, okay, this is fun. And this is seemingly what Matteo Poli, the designer, does at the moment. Everything he does turns to gold. So let's have a look at this Grand Soleil 40 Performance in a bit more detail. We're currently code 0 sailing, 100 degrees true. We've got between 10 and 12 knots of breeze, and we've been sat at between 8 and 8.5. So yeah. You can see it's 8.5 now in an 11.5 true wind, and it's a lovely feeling here on the helm. Really good feedback, just really well set up. It just slips along this boat. So yeah, this is the 40p, so performance version, and this has the racing setup on it, which basically means 6 winches here instead of the 4. You have a longer bowsprit, taller mast, still in aluminium on this, but you can go carbon, obviously. And what the Grand Soleil have been trying to achieve with this is what they've done as well, really well on the 44, which is already done super well in ORC. So this is offered with an ORC style keel. This one has 2.1 meter draft on it, and there's an IRC keel for it as well. Is me not concentrating on my steering, that boat starts to slow down. But yeah, so it's the same design and build team. Matteo Poli, Nauta for the interior and the styling, and Cantieri del Pardo for the build. Swapped out the code 0 for the Genoa. Oh, I got my hand on the rod rigging, there we go, that's a part of the racing upgrade there. You can see there is the option for a self-tacking jib as well. More cruising one. This one has the inboard mounted longitudinal rails. You can also get transversal jib tracks to sheet it in more, even more so. Lovely conditions for this type of boat. Evening breeze. Really nice, fun performance sailing. There's also the option to have a tough luff on here as well. If you really want to juice up the performance, make the J area of the foresail as big as possible. So we've just had a lovely run, lovely beat with the slightly overlapping jib, making about 6.5 knots really in this 9.5 to 10.5 knot true wind. It's really well. I've just actually asked if we can have another code 0 run, final leg into the harbour, but got a dying breeze, still got 9 knots, but it's still a joy. You still get some heel on here, plenty of power in the code 0, and yeah, it's a real pleasure to sail a good single rudder boat again. You can see where the rudder stock is there, forward of the Traveller, so it's really working as a foil. It's a nice deep rudder, there's plenty of grip on it. Poli, the designer, is also pretty useful main sheet trim as well, so he gets this area set up really well. So there is space to sit forward of the, for a main sheet trimmer to come in here, or for someone helming, you can sit forward at the wheel here, plenty of space. Then you've got a hand on the Traveller, hand on the sheet, hand on the wheel if you want it, and yeah, just really nicely set up for that. You see the German main sheet lead going through the coamings there, and then exiting out, going up to the boom, the gooseneck. Just really well set up. So it's a 7.5 ton displacement, Standard keel is 2.4 meters deep, and options for 2.1 and a 1.85. Construction is full foam sandwich, Vinylester, hull and deck, and with both biaxial and unidirectional Vinylester and carbon fibres. Really clever hull shape. There's a flare on these aft quarters there, which gives us this max beam right aft, but also it gives accommodation space back in the quarters, but also it reduces right down on the actual wetted surface area itself. Swimming platform integrated in there, and you can see from the width really of these cockpit benches, you've got quite a lot of beam and surface area size in the cockpit itself. Coaming's shallow. Quick look in the aft locker here. So access to the quadrant in there, and a good sized lazarette as well. And the covered traveller. German main sheet winches mounted on the decks here, as I say, with the going straight through the coamings, and then raised primaries in the coach roof, so those 4 winches stay. Outboard lead shrouds, self-tucking jib rail there. And that big long bowsprit with the anchor roller on there as well. Nice deep chain locker to get some fenders in, and you've got the windlass mounted here. There's the furling line as well, running back aft along the stanchion bases. So as I may have mentioned, this 40p really plays on the success of the 44. It's the same team, and actually when you look at them there's not that much difference, especially when you come below in terms of layout, in that it's still a 3+1 or 3+2, so 3 cabins and 1 heads, or 3 and 2. The main difference is you lose a bit of size. Just berthing the boat at the moment. So you lose a bit of size in the galley itself. However, yeah, it's still a nice, bright, light, modern, refreshing, now to designed interior, and they are very, very good at what they do. So moving forward, this is basically the option that you can or can't have, is to have a heads here. It's narrow going through the doorway, but you still have up to 6 foot headroom going forward to here, to the end of the berth itself, and you can see it's beamy enough, step up each side, and an inviting cabin really, with a big foredeck hatch above it. Double locker each side, one side hanging, shelving, and twin cupboard below it. There is some stowage below the berth as well. And then this is the heads and wet room for the master cabin here. So the galley and the saloon have hull windows, coach roof windows, overheads, and this light oak and white finish to it. It's nice and bright and refreshing looking interior. Galley itself, compact, longitudinal, but still got seemingly a fair amount of stowage in there. What's that bit for then? And there you go, cutlery drawer. Bins. Oh, and that's the fridge below there as well. So you got twin top opening fridge. And then more stowage outboard as well. Right, the saloon and galley follow the lines of the boat nicely. The lines all going forward into a point. That raised stowage there and in the saloon can be, where that shelving is, can all be stowage as well. Saloon table flips over and swivels around, and this one also drops down as well to fill in there. And then you have actually you can see this, but it's very comfortable sofa because those are angled berths. Sorry for my squeaky shoes, everyone. Aft facing chart table with a switch panel up above it. And then moving aft, you have good size. You're really using that aft beam here to give you a good sized double berth in each cabin. Bit of outboard stowage and a big wardrobe. Oh, look at that. Throwing life jackets at me. In the port side, you have access into the heads there, and obviously this cabin here, using the same space, near enough identical cabins there, both of which have access as well into the engine bay. And there's your heads and wet room in here aft, so that's the second heads. Standard engine, I believe, is a 30 horsepower on this. And there's your access panels each side to get at the sail drive. So if, like me, you're tempted by this Grand Soleil 40, it starts at 332,000 ex-VAT for the base boat. So equipped like this one is 420 ex-tax, ex-sales. Hope you enjoyed the sail. I certainly did. See you next time.